And now I welcome Marc Middleton with a message for the children.
Today, for our Time with Children message, we're not going to focus directly on a number, but a measurement, which has numbers in it, so I thought it would work. Oh well. Today we're going to talk about the temple curtain. Now, I know it sounds weird to talk about a curtain, but in today's scripture, we're going to see something weird happen to it. It gets torn from top to bottom, and notice that part carefully, top to bottom. This 45 to 60 foot long curtain that is 4 inches thick gets ripped apart as easy as a piece of paper does. So why is this so important? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to focus on God's power, but before we dive too deep into this, I want to talk about some of the importance behind the curtain. So this curtain served as a barrier to the Ark of the Covenant, which is said to be where God's presence rested in the book of Exodus. Only the high priest could enter, so only just that one person could enter, and even he was only allowed to enter once a year, and that was to ask for the forgiveness of all of the Israelites' sin. So this must be important then, right? This curtain must be important. Well, we also see in 1 Kings chapter 6, verse 2, Solomon builds this temple 45 feet tall. And later historians claim that King Herod extended the temple to be 60 feet tall, and that this curtain was 4 inches thick. So that's why we say 45 to 60 feet. There's no defined number for it. So picture this curtain. I mean, you would have to picture me, which I'm 6'2". It would take 7 to 10 copies of me stacked on top of each other to reach the maximum height or to reach the optimal height. So how is this huge and powerful curtain get torn? Well, that's what we're talking about. The scripture says that this curtain was torn after Jesus had died. 3 things. It was torn in half. It was torn from top to bottom, and as I mentioned, it was torn after Jesus' death. So that's something weird about this tear. How was it torn from top to bottom? Do you think they had like 45 to 60 foot scaffolding or ladders to where one person got up and just jumped and started the tear? No. This tear had to have been something that came from God themselves. But why? The connection between Jesus' death and the curtain being torn demonstrates who Jesus is, what he did, and the access that we get to talk to God through Jesus. Jesus becomes our high priest, so there no longer needs to be this curtain barrier between us and God. We don't need this specific person, this specific high priest, if you will, to come in and ask for forgiveness over our sin, because Jesus provided that forgiveness via what he's going through on the cross. This tearing of the veil, or this tearing of the curtain, also started the beginning of a brand new covenant or promise between us and Jesus. Again, instead of needing a priest to talk to God for us, we ourselves can go directly and boldly before God through Jesus to receive God's love and mercy or forgiveness. Jesus meets us where we are and gives us what we need and strengthens what we feel weak in. This tearing of the curtain is such a powerful example of how we can approach God today. God himself tore down this barrier between himself and us through what Jesus did and went through. And I'm closing this by saying, may nothing hold you back from talking to God. No curtain, no paper, no anything, nothing. Nothing can and will hold you back from the grace and mercy that God provides. That is my time. I will see you next week for another part in the Numbers of Lent series, where we're going to talk about the number 4. So I will see you next week on Palm Sunday. As always.